Welcome back to This Week in Jump. I'm Turo.
And I'm Ryan. And is number 17. And this week we'll be going off of my list. But there are a few announcements to make. Boruto, this will be the last week that it'll be in This Week in Jump because it's being moved to V-Jump. And we're getting very close to Food Wars being completed. I think it has one more chapter to go after this one.
What you said the previous week that wasn't shown really anywhere else was some text was converted into these are the final 3 chapters. Mm-hmm. So that is confirmed. We have 1 chapter left of Food Wars.
And Hinamaru Sumo is going to be added to this list because it's actually being translated now.
Yes. We're actually able to find where it actually is now.
And we're going to be reviewing the entirety of Jump.
Yeah, this is the first week where we actually can and not have
a couple omissions.
Yeah, just because we can't read Japanese.
So, starting off with the new lowest rank now, number 21. God, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, it's not like it's bad.
They're not bad, we just have a list.
Something's got to be at the top, something's got to be at the bottom. Tokyo Shinobi Squad, Chapter 2.
Okay.
I felt very underwhelmed with this chapter.
Yeah. The first chapter was pretty good in my opinion. It set up characters, it set up the world, it had some action, and it showed off showmanship. I actually liked the first chapter.
They're playing a card game. Then
the bureaucracy
showing the yeah, I was gonna say the government side, how the shinobi's actually integrated into that. I thought that was kind of nice, but Jin is just straight punk, doesn't care, doesn't want to follow their bureaucracy rules, and he decides to play a prank on them and knock stuff down, and then they call security on him. Then they're gonna jump out of the building. Then they jump out the building, and you don't see how he lands. You just know that he lands safely because they're walking on the street in the next scene.
Yeah.
And we have the scene of them jumping out of the building on the screen now.
Yeah. So we see a nice picture of the cityscape, and I'm getting a lot of Air Gear vibes just because they're just literally walking in the air with their legs just spread out, just kind of free. But yeah, like you said, we don't see how they land.
They just land. And then they're going to go to a arcade area, and it's dilapidated now. There's like graffiti and tagging.
Yeah.
But apparently the Yakuza came in there and they want to tear it all down.
Yeah.
And so this girl is there crying, and she asks for help.
Yeah. Apparently this girl's just
there.
Here. She's not a business owner. She's not a. I guess she's just a regular there.
She's just there. Nobody else is there.
Yeah. It's weird for her just to be here.
And she's probably like maybe 11 or 12. Like, she's not a teen. She's not an older teen, and she's not a child. It's kind of odd. She looks about the same age as In, the other the boy who's falling around Jin.
Yeah. So this is why this is probably so low for you. Like, there's some inconsistencies. There's weird choices on cutoffs between, transitions between locale.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why you put this quite a bit lower.
Yeah, it felt jarring.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not going to show me how he lands? I kind of figured it was going to be like he was going to repulse himself off the ground, but show me that like in a stylistic way. That would have been cool to see.
We didn't need a full page of just the cityscape. You could have just done that in sections to where, bouncing off of stuff and then landing would have been a little bit cooler.
Yeah, or in some other series where they're like jumping and they show like the past after images of themselves like landing.
Yeah.
I probably would have picked that also. I picked the cityscape jump just because it's the largest image.
That's the only thing it looks really cool. Entertaining in this chapter.
And so the girl asks for help. Jin says, "Yeah, I'll help you." Then we have the Yakuza come in, and they have a real estate guy who's going to build a mall there.
The Yakuza's still a crime organization here. They weren't shut out by anyone else. Being open to everyone else who can come here now. They're still a prominent force that people have to deal with.
So the Yakuza come up, they're going to use their force. Jin starts to fight with them, and he shows off his matrix skills.
Yeah, literally.
That was kind of cool.
You can't.
He just Neos it.
Yeah, he just stops a wave of bullets.
Yeah.
And just shoots, literally repulses them back.
So seeing him use his abilities in these inventive ways and actually being able to... How he can repulse objects by itself without having to touch them. Obviously, because he did that with, like, pushing people's faces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You see it done more tastefully here. Because he's having to fight off multiple opponents that have weapons versus the other ones that he were fighting in the previous chapter, which just had... They were just physical, like, TIE fighters. Taijutsu fighters.
Yeah.
Winds up winning, of course, because he's got main character armor.
Yeah.
The Yakuza guy leaves because he's...
Yeah, and
he got put up to this, apparently.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I'm a 36-year-old bachelor.
Yeah, he's a liar. We might see him again get trashed. Who knows? But Jin
saved the day, and now he
lights up all the neon of the street and makes this girl's night. Again, she's not an owner. Or if she is, we weren't told that.
That's not clarified.
Yeah, so
you assume that she's like an owner daughter, or she's just a regular.
Yeah, so N sees, Jin as a good shinobi, like pretty cool.
But apparently, he didn't get the jobs he was supposed to get.
Yeah, so he's still a failure in that side. He didn't get paid for this, again, from the girl. It's like, he really only does things for people he likes.
Yeah. He's a free agent in that regard.
Even his teammates who are saying, hey, go do this, still says no.
It's cool, but it didn't really grab my attention that much.
Yeah.
And that's why I felt like it was at the bottom for me. Next on the list is number 20, Double Taisei, Chapter 4. Yeah,
so preliminaries are still going on, and we have, was it Hage?
Haga?
Haga?
H-A-G-A? We have him doing introspection.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy that he's rethinking.
He thinks he didn't do it, but at the same time he doesn't know, and then he thinks the only person that's going to know is Tendo, and since Tai isn't in the body right now, it's just Sei. Sei is like, what are you staring at? What's going on?
Yeah, like, who are you? Okay, I better not deal with him.
Just ignore him. And he's cocky. And I have this image here of everybody just noticing him and him just saying, oh, well, I'm going to win anyway, guys. You can already go home.
Yeah. Such a bold move for someone who's not of this world. Literally, he's been living in a different world up until the other day.
But then his opponent notices him, and then he's like, oh, don't go easy on me because I'm a kid. And I'm like, how old is this guy? He looks like he's like 36, and it's like, I'm 26. I'm like, oh, he's younger than me!
Oh, no.
No! Why does he look like this? It's like, God, he's not even an old man.
His character model reminds me of, I think it was one of the, like, Studio Ghibli kind of animations. I can't put my finger on it, but he looks very familiar. So I automatically liked him.
Generic guy with sunken-in cheeks.
Yeah.
Hairline receding, glasses,
very
skinny.
proper.
And he winds up, Sei ends up losing the match to him because of time. Again.
Yeah, again. He's thinking so far ahead that
his game is like decades, if not hundreds of years in the future, is how complicated his strategies are.
Yeah, and like, I won. I won!
I won because he ran out and all he was doing was defending.
Yeah. Exactly, just defending. That's all he could do.
The other thing is, apparently Haga notices that the pieces are glowing like they were the last time.
Yeah. Which means, like,
and
Haga's a good player because he's able to notice these things. Also, him able to perceive, like, admitting defeat, a minute? In his previous game? He can
see what was going to happen.
It's really just a matter of time. I want him to get rid of his restraints and become a friend of Sei. And just, like, take your time and we'll play this game. He's already used to that with Tai. I would love to see that between these two.
But we have to have the whole conversation where he reveals like, "Hey, is it my fault that you lost? Because I pushed you down." And then says like, "What are you talking about?" He's kind of like tearing up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's because of what he said or
because
he's lost.
Or
Both.
another one that Tai asked for his name. Sei does not remember that. Usually, when you ask for someone's name, you remember it. That's just proper thing to do. But the fact that he doesn't remember him is kind of like a shot at him. So I wonder if he feels really bad for that and feeling like, I gave you my name, like you don't remember me, like you're the one who asked me about it. Like just very conflicting emotions there.
Right. And then you have the last little tidbit at the end.
I think it's a girl.
You think it's a girl? I thought that child is not my Taisei. You think? I thought that was like maybe the father.
Oh,
we
no.
haven't seen up to this point.
It could be the father, but the way that's said,
phrased.
it's my Taisei. Like I've heard that in a lot of
but the
other
mom
series.
was working at the bar, so
No,
just a woman.
in an affectionate way.
Oh, okay.
Like that's not my Taisei.
Ah.
Essentially, like either a fangirl, someone that she thought
That looks like
of
an
a
office.
rival. It does look like an office, but that looks either the ornate features of the chair or like a hair being put in a bun. Something along those lines. It looks to me. I think this is a girl.
We'll see.
We'll see in the next chapter.
Next, number 19, The Last Sayuki, chapter 14. And this is an Estelle chapter.
Yeah. Like
I still like her character.
I do, but I didn't think right now was the time
Oh, for what happens at the end?
for what happens just in this chapter. I don't think this was the time to try to flesh her out. I think she should have just been put in action, and that's how we see her change. But this is showing too much backstory too quickly for me to really put this any higher.
How she still feels like everything's her fault and she has to live up to her ideals of the character that she's portraying. She has to be a good person. She has to save somebody. She has not saved anybody up to this point, in her opinion.
Also, she wants to do it by herself because she needs to prove it to herself. She doesn't want Ryunosuke or Koharu to really be in this fight, even though she knows they're a super powerful team.
And after she runs off by herself, Koharu has to convince Ryunosuke that, hey, we need to go. We need to follow her and make sure that she doesn't do anything by herself.
She is very self-conscious about her character.
She was self-conscious when she was a kid about how she was dressing as Ling Ling, and then she also is self-conscious because her mother died when she was in that costume on the best birthday she ever had.
Yeah. But also, I believe it was the previous chapter. Oh no, when she was introduced at the end when Ryunosuke woke up, she was embarrassed because
seeing him in the outfit, seeing her in the outfit.
Yeah, so she still has that complex now. At least
to an extent.
So, yeah, she still is growing. You know, she's still very young.
She's like 12, I think, is what they said.
Yeah, it's crazy.
She's young.
That's a good shot.
This is what's on the screen right now.
Yeah, maybe not necessarily the character or the monster, but the background. The background looks... It could have just been taking a picture.
I was going to say, it's the framing. It's done in such a way that it looks natural, and it's something that you would see in a movie. It's like taken straight out of a movie. A character just running, and they're completely just zoned in on one area, running straight ahead.
Yeah, fantastic.
And then the threat is off where they can't see it. We can see it as the audience because we can see everything, but it's just such a good shot.
Absolutely.
And as you might have guessed, the creature senses her and then begins to fight with her. Grabs her and then drains her of her energy.
Yeah,
and she looks like a frail old woman.
Yeah, it's literally draining the life essence or energy straight out of her.
Yeah, they say strength, and then her fear actually starts to come back.
Yeah,
because obviously her Mu is still open because she's able to use the Nyobu. and she's still blaming herself and saying, "Why does everybody keep saying they're sorry? I should be the one apologizing."
Koharu is
myself.
actually the one, not Ryunosuke, getting like flustered and being, trying to protect her big sister that now she's really had an attachment to. So, it's pretty cool that she now has
fire.
Yeah.
Not literal power fire, but fire in the sense that she's saying what she means and what she wants now.
Yeah,
instead of like being very timid.
Exactly.
She's shouting at him, "Hey, you need to help her."
Yeah.
And then you see a spark between Ryunosuke and Estelle's lips, and I guess he kissed her to transfer energy to her.
Either kisses her or literally just gets that close, and energy surges between both of them. Interesting
Indeed.
But I don't know
where
the possibilities could be endless on which way this can go. If she unlocks a new ability, if she's able to change the shape of her Nyobu to something even greater, it would be really funny to see her with like an Oni bat that's literally huge. It's still kind of like a mace in that sense, but that would be pretty neat. That's what I'm hoping for.
Could be. Number 18 is Beast Children, Chapter 3. Wow, is this like super high on yours or something?
I just like Beast Children.
It's gotten better with the art. I feel like they're getting more of a flow into how they do the eyes for Sakura. It's not super off-putting. Oh my god, the first chapter, the first page eyes, I hated it. I absolutely hated the eyes.
Now you know how I feel with Rick and Morty.
Back to Beast Children. So they have the entrance exam because they finally got into high school.
Hooray! But Yukito's not there.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not.
He wasn't going by an alias, like trying to sneak in. No, he's just not there. I thought that is the biggest misdirection for someone and such a cruel joke to play on someone. But he never said he was going here. He just said, if you want a good chance and a good school to go to play rugby, it's this one. Like, so crazy.
So, at this school, Sakura isn't the only person that's actually obsessed with rugby. There is Mr. Beast himself.
Yeah.
Shin. Kujira.
And he was,
training?
He was training. He was warming up. I don't know, but he's only wearing briefs.
Boxer briefs.
And he's just announcing to all the newcomers, like, essentially...
how awesome he is.
Yeah. Like, wow, and people are throwing stuff at him. Like, okay, he's entertaining.
Yeah.
And he's huge, but people don't think too much of him, maybe just like goofball. Like, okay.
Well, considering that everybody there was a freshman and they didn't know who he was,
they
start like throwing stuff at him, and then he eventually gets off the stage and starts running.
Yeah.
But I forgot to mention that Sakura also had an outburst. That's how come Mr. Beast came in.
Yeah. They're being
scolded. And Mr. Beast takes advantage of Sakura's naivete and actually helps him get out of the situation. And then
by literally jumping out a window.
Second story window.
Yeah. Like, okay, well, he's gone. I can't catch him. So I'm going to tell you.
reprimand you, Sakura. It's all your fault. I know you just got here, but it's your fault.
Like, don't get involved with him. Like, you're barely starting off. You have years ahead of you. As if you don't associate with Mr. Beast, you'll probably be fine.
And he recommends not going with the rugby club because everybody's big and he's small.
Yeah.
Sakura obviously already knows this. But the reason Mr. Beast was heading out in the first place, besides not wanting to be reprimanded, was the whole fact that he didn't want to... he missed his game that he needed to go to.
Yeah.
Which, on the first day of school, would they have a rugby game?
Depending on different seasons of play, like maybe they had a planned skirmish and didn't care about new students coming in.
I don't know. So, Sora was already there. Sakura found the rugby field and was like, "Oh, hey, you're watching the game already."
Like, oh,
And
how
are they? And this is the thing that's on here. They're a mess.
Like, it's hilarious. They're crashing into teammates. They're not able to pass the ball. People are just standing around.
They're different characterizations. This guy's head is literally like bent in half.
Yeah, very delinquent-esque. Like, huh?
And then there's ones that don't care. There's one that's hitting on girls that are walking by. Completely disorganized. But the other team is freaking out, trying to get as many points as they can, and still is only in a 30-point lead. I don't know how many points they have and how many points the other team has because they never specifically mention it. But let's say that I don't know how rugby works. Let's say it's similar to
Football.
Let's say there was like 6 and they had 36.
Yeah.
But the other team is still trying their hardest to try and win, but the lead isn't even that much. In walks Mr. Beast, who is still surprisingly there after Sakura, despite leaving and not being reprimanded.
Yeah. The other team, though, is freaking out because he's here. It's like, okay, maybe he's a good player.
Nope.
And he's apparently the captain.
Yes.
And he is a leader.
Mm-hmm.
He puts them
in their
just his presence alone, like, puts them in their place and like, okay, enough funny stuff. Let's play. And
he refers to each one of them as parts of the body, and then he is the heart.
Yeah.
And then you see them on a unified front charging. I probably could have picked that as a second image. If I end up doing an extra image for this one, it'll be this one of the team charging, because that's a really good shot.
Yeah.
And Sakura immediately notices that they look similar to how Iki would play.
Mm-hmm. And these characters, one thing to gripe about the players, their first introduction, they all kind of look...
Yeah, like their faces look like what you would expect their attitudes to be like.
Yeah. But none of them really stand out, kind of like more shonen. Like, characters stick out.
This guy who's referred to as my claws, he's probably very vindictive. The ones that are my horns is you have the tall one and the Shota one. I don't know. These all feel like very, like, kind of obvious archetypes. They probably do fall into what you would think they would act like, is what they look like.
Yeah, they look, I don't know, kind of boring. Besides Mr. Beast, they all look a little boring. Just first impressions.
To be fair, even in other series where they do that, where they have like the character just act the way that they look, I'm still fine with that as long as they stay in character or they change their character or they like evolve a little bit. That's still fine. So they can give them a little bit more characterization later on. They probably will, just like they do with every single sports series where they have like a flashback for that character.
Yeah.
Or they went through some trial and tribulation.
Yeah, I'm just saying first impressions.
Right. It's
not
underwhelming. It's underwhelming because they get like a couple interactions between them, but you don't really get anything else other than that, just that surface level banter.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. And Sakura's like, oh, you guys play just like Iki. Oh, you have a good eye.
And not many people...
He was the coach.
Yeah. Not many people would know unless they specifically were a fan of his.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
And roll credits because they're like the Beast's children.
Yeah. This is the last team that he was coaching.
4 days before he died.
Yeah. This is why this one was bottom of the list for me. They should have put so much more focus on the players for being the Beast's children. Especially like coming out like that should have been such a bigger reveal, such a bigger influence in the chapter, and I feel it's very underwhelming there. That's why this one was at the bottom for me. I still liked the series, I just felt this chapter it missed its mark.
Yeah, and then we also have like a little last tidbit of Yukito there saying, oh, I wonder if he's going to be able to make it or be crushed by them as far as like training and keeping up with them. This is all his plan.
Yeah.
And I can see why he told him to go to this school.
Yeah.
It makes sense now.
If you're a fan of my dad, and these were people that knew him, you even if you didn't win a single game, you'd probably still love it.
Probably. Number 17, My Hero Academia, Chapter 231. From last chapter, Makina was waking up early, because they woke him up early. We have Hawks.
And like, okay. It's a weird time to do this, but okay.
Yeah, he's like, I got on the call. But then we see the billboard of Best Genus is missing, and you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And Hawks was in contact with Dobby. Dobby told him to prove himself. And then the next thing you see is Hawks going to Best Genus, and then they have an interaction, and he's like, oh, that's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But he pulls out like a feather blade.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing that he took out Genus
Yeah.
to prove his loyalty?
Yeah, and the other thing is like, oh, how can the number 2 take out the number 3 best hero? It's because the Best Genus was thinking of retiring, or at least from frontline heroing.
Yeah, one lung.
One lung. So he was already weak at that point. Like, that's a lot to go to try to stop villains.
Yeah, to take out another hero just to stop
Yeah.
getting good with the villains.
I'm getting more Archangel from X-Men vibes right now. No, not from the wings, but also the flip-floppiness of once being on the side of good and now essentially turning evil for the right reasons, for still trying to do justice in that point. It's really creepy.
Well, you also have the duality of like his wings here are kind of like gray,
Mm-hmm.
and then in that scene they're black.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this bag behind him, a large bag, but he's like, that's too bad. And then you have him like reaching for that bag. And he's like, oh, to prove my resolve. So it's assumed that Genus is in the bag. Also, in Vigilante in chapter 54, the one that came out like a couple weeks ago, Best Genus was able to manipulate things other than denim.
Okay.
He could apparently manipulate
Just thread?
the cable fibers that are in
Train cars or
not train cars.
elevators?
No, harder than that, stronger than that. Suspension bridges.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So he was able to do that and like prevent a building from falling down. Eventually, it did fall down, and then All Might came in and just like saved the day. But Genus was able to hold it in place by using those cables. So I thought that was kind of cool just to throw in here. If you don't read Vigilante,
You should.
just just you can get like random little things like that thrown in there.
Still have the
fight
battle
going on.
Yeah, Battle of Fire and Ice twice is going around, trying to help literally everyone that's on the League of
thousands of people at this point.
Yeah.
And he gets the information from Shigaraki that I always write his name down and I always forget it. Girin?
Yes, Garen.
Where Girin is most likely in the tower, because as they get closer and closer to the tower, that's where more and more of these people are at. And I'm thinking this politician guy, his quirk is to like rally people and increase their power.
Maybe also like a second wind, where they're like they might
Revitalized.
be tired already, but you regain some of your stamina.
Speed up.
Essentially, he's the hunting horn of the group.
And I'm guessing Dobby is gonna go and fight him.
Mm-hmm.
Or not Dobby, Spinner. I say Dobby because I had Dobby on the brain.
Yeah, Spinner. That's a character where I'm not sure what his ability is, other than kind of like
He's a lizard
Froppy.
man?
Kind of like Froppy. She can do anything a frog can. It's like, okay, well, kind of how do you go from there for a hero? Like, okay, she's shown us that she can secrete kind of like a paralyzing venom. She can hide things. She's able to swim so much faster nowadays. Like, those can kind of be very unique. What can Spinner do? Like, as, a lizard man who's just using blades. I wonder if he has something more to him that will... I'm kind of hoping he has kind of like a Godzilla-esque kind of...
Like a charge beam?
Like a transformation, where he can kind of Hulk out and just be a giant rampaging lizard.
Well, they kind of explore that But I mean, if they do it in here, that'd be kind of cool too. Vigilante did this with their first arc where they had like the villains that would go crazy, but they're just random people that were given like these drugs that would power them up, and they become giant hulking versions of themselves. So
I mean, that'd be
it's
cool.
possible. I mean, they've done it in the universe, so I mean, you could, in theory, naturally get that if your quirk was to evolve in that way. Possible, because go with the whole dragon idea, where if a dragon isn't encased, it'll keep growing. That's like the Game of Thrones mythology, is where like as long as they're out and about, they'll keep growing until like they get to a certain size.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we finish off the chapter with
I don't know if this is the original Twice or just one of his clones.
I think it's one of his clones, because the original Twice
is still a good ways back.
But also he has his mask removed. I think he is doing that on purpose so that he knows which one is real.
Okay. And they're gonna fight Redestro.
Yeah, and Giran is there. I think he's happy to either happy or maybe a little worried to see Twice, because he calls him by his real name.
He seems happy and confused.
Yeah.
But Destro is his
Redestro.
I keep on coming because it's
he's the successor.
He's the successor of Destro, but he has referred to himself as Redestro.
Yeah.
And then Redestro mentions the character who is literally only in a chapter, Miyashita, the one that he choked. It's like, you're not charming like him.
Yeah, and he's activating his quirk,
which I
still don't know what it is.
I was gonna say, I don't know what it does. It
so
gave him a mask. It's giving him a literal like dark spot on his head.
It's so interesting. Like, I'm excited to see what it actually is.
I would have put that higher if I had seen what it did. The thing with Hawks, like that B story, is interesting as well.
Yes, I think that's there to give us a time of reference for the current going-ons. Like, Best Eunice is missing, and in this other town, people are more fixated on that, the number 3 hero missing, rather than, oh, we haven't heard anything from this town in a while.
Yeah, surely somebody would have reported something or seen something. Because there's got to be people driving through that town that have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Next on the list is number 16, Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs, chapter 162.
Alright, so stuff's going on.
Kogarashi still in his powered up state.
I hate that I have to say that in Yuna.
Stuff's going on?
Stuff's going on. Stuff's actually happening. Because so many of the chapters that we've gone through, where it's filler, it's throwaway kind of chapters, like the missing book, that the red string bikini one, that was just throwaway.
There's about 5 pages of actual content that matters in that. Like, that's what it is for like a lot of these series, where it's focused more on the fan service aspect of it. It's like you could probably condense this, but you can make a whole chapter out of it in a fan service way, similar to a lot of other fan service manga that do that, where there's like, they're not plot driven really. The plot is kind of like the B thing. The A thing is the fan service.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that way, in my opinion. It should be portraying a good story, which right now it is.
Well, yeah, because you actually have Nadare and Kogarashi fighting against each other. He's getting wailed on. Kogarashi just has him completely at a disadvantage. And we finally see what's going on with the other side, the other group that was separated.
Yeah. Because we didn't get a name for the other girl. Now we actually do.
Kishi.
Yeah. And all it is
it's a swimming one.
If someone can beat me at swimming, that's what's going to break this world. Like, most of them can't swim.
Nope.
And they're literally just in swimsuits. Okay, whatever. And she doesn't want to hurt them. She doesn't want
She's like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight you guys. I'm just here to wait it out.
Yeah. This example of this world reminds me of Hunter x Hunter with the speed cheetah.
Oh, yes.
Where he creates his own world and is fighting someone who creates smoke, and it's just the most patient man ever. And it's just a game of tag. You can get out of here once you beat me at tag. So then he just waits and waits and is like, I'm just gonna waste time. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna get bored, and I'm going to win just by having patience. Like the waiting game is how he wins, and that's what I thought of this. Like, I win just by waiting here. Like, I'd like to swim, but if you guys don't want to try it, you'll be fine here.
But Chitose, I don't know if she actually thought this far ahead, but apparently she can use her luck manipulation because Kisei is going to use her spirit power to just go ahead and bulldoze because she can't use it in regular competitions in the real world. So, using the luck manipulation, a bunch of hijinks happens, and it looks like Chitose is actually going to be able to beat her. And then we cut back to the main fight.
Yeah. Luck is a crazy thing.
They've shown a couple of other instances in the series where she's used her luck manipulation and where it backfires on her for all the times where she's done little things to help out. It's crazy. Like, it
works much more
what
in
is
a
that
way.
principle where like anything that can happen will happen?
Murphy's Law.
So back to the fight.
We get an explanation.
A power scaling explanation.
Yeah. This is what I've been wanting. Why are you attacking an inn full of girls and Kogarashi? Why is everyone hell-bent on
defeating
them?
Because he's OP.
Yeah. But it's also, he doesn't want to control the world. He doesn't want to destroy everyone else. But it's not of you want to do this. It's you have the ability to. So we need to put that in check. By either sealing your powers away or just killing you. And not just killing you, killing all of your allies.
Yes, because every time he fights, he gets stronger. Any Yatagane... I honestly forget how to pronounce that. Haganes. The special line that he's from. Any of those get powered up every single time they fight. Basically like a Saiyan, where they have the Zenkai boosts. As he's been fighting over and over and over again, he's been continuously getting stronger and stronger. As we've seen the fights escalating in the series, it gives a reason to why he keeps getting stronger, despite being still just he's just a medium.
And with, Yuna getting her powers and be able to use them in correlation with him, and just having his allies that are so varied and
they get stronger.
Yeah, they are a unofficial army that can probably take on a couple of houses by themselves.
Hence why when we had the dream sequence, whenever Kogarashi lost his powers, there was that whole fallout of the wars where everybody was fighting against everybody else. And you had all the factions. Because everybody went into their separate factions, because Kogarashi wasn't there to centralize it and stop it and basically be the nuclear deterrent.
When everyone is fighting a common enemy, it's okay to...
Everybody teams up.
Everyone's teaming up against a single enemy, a single threat. That puts a dampening effect on any current conflicts and makes them, work together. But when the protagonist is the threat in this case, like, it's hard to see that as the problem. Like,
we know they're good.
Yeah, we know they're good, but everyone else doesn't. Similar in the case of like a judicial system, everyone thinks this person is guilty, but
we're supposed to have a presumption of innocence, but everybody has their own preconceived notions.
Exactly.
So Kogorashi's gonna blast him and beat him up, but you can see in his eyes that Nadara-san is like, I'm not gonna lose this. And I guess Chisake also noticed this, because then his hand disappears. It disappeared because he's been at his maximum power, over his maximum power, so his body's starting to disintegrate and turn into spirit strands. And Nadara teases that he's learned something else new once again. I have no idea what he learned, but I don't know how long Kogurashi can stay in that state.
Yeah.
But I still thought that was much more interesting than a lot of the other random, out-of-place chapters that this series has. Like you're saying, it's true. It's fan service. That's what it is. It is.
What about the melon pastries that they had? What did that chapter?
It's fan service. It's just fan service. It's
like,
just fan service.
If you give someone
and little substance here and there.
If you give someone filet mignon over and over and over again, they're gonna get tired of it and they're not gonna want it.
Yeah.
You need to spread it out. You need to use it as a treat rather than just the supplement.
I feel like it's just the main course of the series. It's just par for the course. Food Wars used to be very notorious for it.
Yeah.
In some of the earlier chapters where it would use fan service quite frequently, and then it toned down over time, and it got very prudish to where they would barely use it sparingly, and that also might be part of the reason why it's not sticking around much longer. Besides the fact that like the food stuff got kind of meh.
I think that's the main thing for Food Wars, but we'll leave that for when Food Wars comes up.
Getting ahead of ourselves, because that Food Wars is not next. Next is number 15, Samurai 8, Tale of Hachimaru, Chapter 5. So apparently he had the mount there the whole time for Hachimaru, the horse. The horse was just there.
Was this the bandits before, or was this his father's?
This is outside of his house, because this is the back part of his house, and this Daruma was able to go to the back. And so he's like, so this is where it was hidden, and there's the horse. And that's the mount. Pulls the bone out of it. But he takes it with him because he tells Hachimaru, hey, come on, let's go ahead and go. And he's like, why do I have to pack everything and go? Because you're probably not coming back.
Yeah, ever.
And so now they're going to go and train. There's so much white on the screen.
Yeah.
That some of the minor details, it's kind of hard to break up land and the wall. I guess it's like a cave wall. Here, it's not very clear to me. And apparently, they're supposed to deactivate the guards that are there. These two giant statues that start engaging with them. Hachimaru thinks that he's all that and tries swiping at them, and just like the tank from before,
can barely nick him.
Yeah, because he just has it's just a model sword, because he doesn't have the actual samurai sword. Dharma eventually wakes up and then walks you through the process of how they fight,
how samurai fight,
and this is where it's actually getting kind of cool.
Yeah, they're using the key ignition for their holders. They use that along with, I guess, a part of their soul, part of their body. Daruma just pulls at his chest and forms the blade out of it. And
I felt like that was supposed to be symbolic of like a seppuku. That's why they kept saying the seppuku thing.
Okay.
Was because if you had a knife there, you would have stabbed yourself. Because he like punctures himself and pulls it out, and he's like, "This is a symbol of courage, blade of samurai, a samurai soul." So it is in a sense part of their soul, not unlike how in Shaman King they have the sword souls.
Yeah. and with one attack, he's able to take out a guard.
Yeah. It just goes right through like butter.
Yeah. Even though Daruma showed Hachimaru. I almost said Hayataro. That's the dog.
That's the dog flying cat.
Yeah.
The dog that meows.
Yeah. Daruma showed Hachimaru that he doesn't need that sword to cut stuff. But then in the first chapter with the cup that he sliced open,
He used the fake sword.
he used the fake sword. But now he's showing him like, oh, to use a real sword, you need to, you need
do
this to cut stuff. Like, okay, well, that's kind of contradictory to what you're saying. Like, you're able to do anything just as long as you're trained. But like, no, if you really want to do this, you need a samurai sword. You need to you do it this way. Those teachings are kind of contradictory, and I don't really like them.
The only reason I think they did it that way was because if you have to have, it's a stronger object than a cup. It's a giant enemy. So how else are you going to cut it?
Yeah,
you got to power it up and make it a giant lightsaber thing.
I do like that Daruma, using the horse holder, is able to form guns. Like dual pistols. It looks a little weird just because, you know, you're adding samurai, you're adding, not to mention he's a cat, but samurai, space, and swords, you're adding guns. But they
show him armoring up.
Yeah, they show that as well. It looks pretty cool.
The disc hunter, I want to say that I used the one before where he cuts it in half. I don't think I use this one because it's way too far at the end.
Yeah.
But how he slices both of them in half is pretty cool. The latter one was cooler. I might include that if I have time.
Yeah. Hachimaru didn't do anything. He just dodged.
Right. But he's getting hyped now.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh boy, I can start doing these really cool things. Because it is cool to see things get cut in half. But I want to know where this is going from here.
Are they just going to have like a Piccolo-esque training session where it's just flash cutting between
forward.
Yeah.
Like, here's a week, a month, 6 months.
And seeing slow progression that way. Are we going to see his dad come search for him? Like, no, I want my son to come back.
Yeah, he's been pretty quiet this whole time that they kind of like took off.
Yeah.
And the entire time, I guess Hachimaru was getting all of his stuff together. He didn't say anything.
Also, did the dad just allow Daruma to take the blood fang? Is that what it's called? The red bladed samurai sword. Did he just allow him to take that, or because last we saw Daruma had that and was making it?
Well, that's what he just used right there.
Was that the red one? I don't think that's the red one.
Is that the red one? No, it's his white one.
It's his own white one.
It's his own white one.
Because the other one clearly is red. It's a darker shade.
Well, yeah, because he was saying that you can use the key holder, or no, you can make Hayataro your key holder if you input it with him with the bone hilt, and then you put the bone hilt in your arm, and that's how you pull out your sword.
Yeah.
And then you pull out your soul. So
I don't think the red one is inside Hachimaru. Because
it was originally, but not anymore.
Yes, because Daruma and his father were talking while Hachimaru was in town, and they were using it then.
So you think he still has it?
Either Daruma still has it and is not using it right now, or his dad has it.
Either of those are likely. We don't see it, so we don't know.
I don't like that the dad was just cast off like this and cares enough about Hachimaru to keep with him, but not enough to stop him or care that he's missing in this case.
We say this, and then like the next chapter, it's going to be him trying to find him or locating him. Like he put like a tracker on them or something.
I bet he does.
And we're going to have to eat our words.
Yeah, but I'll eat my words in the next part.
And that'll do it for part 1. Catch us again on part 2.